Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Good morning, Calvin University. My name is Tom Hartzell, and you can usually find me over at the Preserve. But I'm really, really pleased to be here with you in chapel this morning. Let's get to work, my dad called. And I grabbed the burlap sack out of our mudroom, felt the rough fabric on my back, and hoisted the heavy load out to our car, hearing the clink, clank, clink, clank of the contents. And strained to get the bag up into the back of our car, and we all piled into the seats, drove down our driveway. I looked on one side, saw the vegetable garden that we had planted and grown together. Now the sweet corn plants were as tall as I was, taller. Tomato plants, bean plants, squash, all of those good things. On the other side of the driveway, I saw our two little beef cows sticking their heads out of the barn. And as we pulled out of our driveway, they wandered back out into their pasture. And we drove for a while. I wasn't sure how long, maybe 20, 30 minutes, but it was a familiar drive. And finally, off in the distance, I saw them. Red, big things in the mall parking lot. And nowhere near the entrance. We were headed all the way out to the farthest reaches of the parking lot. We pull up to these things and read the labels on the doors. And there's clear, green, brown, metal, plastic, paper. We pull our burlap sacks out of the car and sort our recycling into these big metal dumpsters. That is how recycling happened for me in the 90s. And it was interesting. It's just something I grew up with. I didn't know any of my friends that did this, and I wasn't quite sure why we did it, but we did it, and that felt meaningful. But at that point, I didn't have any faith connection. It wasn't part of any kind of spiritual response. My family did it, and it was a way we could try to take care of the earth. So James in chapter 2 reminds us that faith without works is dead. In my case, works without faith was, my childhood. Let's get to work, Dave exclaims as he slaps the desk. Dave is a big, jovial guy. A descendant of the Swedes that immigrated to northern Minnesota. And Dave was my graduate school advisor. Dave was driven. He was driven to promote sustainability, to promote justice environmentally and socially. And he was driven to educate people of all ages, and especially the grad students that were under his charge. As we sat there talking in his office, I could hear a woodpecker tapping on the outside of the building, looking for bugs. I could also hear the wind chimes on the outside of the building that were supposed to scare away the woodpeckers. But what we had decided on was that I would write a creation care Sunday school curriculum as part of the Master's in Environmental Education program that I was doing. And I felt pretty underqualified for this. I was a new Christian at that point, and it felt like a daunting task to create a resource like this. But it was a project that I was grateful to take on, and it changed me. It really shaped the trajectory of my career, in my life. It gave me an opportunity to marry my newfound Christian faith with the sustainability kind of works from my childhood. And I was blown away at what I found. There was too much to even put in this 6-week curriculum that I was building. The Bible is just dripping with creation care passages that point to the sustainability of God's intended order for our world and the roles that we can play in that. Genesis. Humans are clearly put in charge of this planet, and the original vocation is tending and protecting the earth. Parts of the Levitical law speak to the redemption of the land that we are expected to seek in the places where we live. Places in Deuteronomy that instruct us on taking care of resources in a way to ensure that they are always there, always available to future generations, and even what to do with our poop. Deuteronomy 23, 12-13, find a place outside of your camp so when you need to have a bowel movement, you can go there. Carry a stick as part of your equipment so you can dig a hole and cover it up when you're done. God even cares about what we do with our waste as a way to take care of the earth. Things are a little more poetic and beautiful in the Psalms. Many of them speak to the glory of God that is revealed through creation. And in some places, Psalm 98, the rivers and the hills themselves are clapping and rejoicing, celebrating God. Psalm 24, the opening line is that the earth is the Lord's, everything in it. And Psalm 104 is a beautiful exploration of creation and how God has created it to be self-sustaining and diverse. The Old Testament prophets have a lot to add as well. Isaiah in particular speaks to the trees and the mountains rejoicing. And 58, 6-12 is one of my favorite passages that I came across and continues to be one of my favorite passages today that speaks to what is true fasting. And Isaiah says that it's really about loosing the chains of injustice, loving and helping our family, our neighbors, and rebuilding what has been ruined and destroyed. There's plenty in the New Testament as well, of course. Jesus himself repeatedly seeks solitude in nature over 50 times throughout the 4 Gospels. And then Mark and Matthew record these 2 main commandments that all of the prophets and the law hang on, that we should love God and love our neighbors as ourselves. And practicing sustainability is one of the most holistic ways that we can live into that. In Romans, Paul writes about how creation itself is groaning as it is fractured and waiting for redemption. While at the same time, letter to the Colossians, he writes that all things are created through Christ and held together by Christ, and that we get to be part of that redemptive work that he began. And finally, the vision of the final kingdom when heaven is brought to earth. Revelation shows us that it's not just a human party, a human celebration, but all creatures will be part of that in Revelation 5:13. And in 22, it's the vision of the new city, the new Jerusalem, with crystal clear water, a river of life, and trees that produce food all year long, and leaves that are medicine for the healing of the nations. So, as I looked at all of this and thought, okay, If this is God's plan for the world, to have a creation that is good and diverse and self-sustaining, and that we are given instructions on how to care for it to make sure that it can provide for the needs of us, of our human neighbors, and of our non-human neighbors. And if the ultimate vision, the ultimate ending of all of this is this beautiful, holistic community that brings us all together, how else could I respond but to give my life to this work of sustainability, professionally and personally? Folks, faith plus works is alive. Let's get to work. I heard this again and again as I began my work here at Calvin. Last summer, I began my work here and began to meet people all over campus that have been doing this good work of sustainability for years and decades. People like Jamie Skillen, Dave Warners, Matt Hune, Julie Wildskit, Phil Johnson, Will Miller, Deb Reenstra, Noah Tolley, Weba Bohr. These and so many others are excited to have sustainability happening here at Calvin. And as I looked around, I thought, wow, so much has been done in this place. I also looked around and thought, wow, there's still so much potential. So some of the good things that are already going on, I'll list here for you. The Ecosystem Preserve and Native Gardens are a really unique resource. A full quarter of our campus is set aside as a place of Sabbath and rest for our non-human neighbors. Plaster Creek Stewards works really meaningfully and intentionally with our neighbors in southern Grand Rapids to restore and protect this shared resource, the Plaster Creek, the watershed that we are part of. There's a sustainability showcase at the end of every semester. Students who do sustainability work, research, projects have a chance to share that with the whole campus community. We have a green revolving fund. That's really unique for a college or university. Money is invested in projects that save energy or save water, which translates to financial savings. Those financial savings can then be reinvested in more energy and water and other sustainability types of projects. We have sustainability coordinators here. Yeah. Most, if not all, of our residence halls have sustainability coordinators who are doing the work of sustainability by taking out compost, collecting recycling, putting together pop-up thrift markets, farmers markets, and of course, planning the big. There's also a sustainability student council. You all have a chance to have a voice that communicates your questions, your wants, your needs around sustainability to your student senate and also to the upper administration here at Calvin. And one of the newest initiatives is a brand new cohort program focused on sustainability called the Sustainability Fellows. So I encountered all these things in the beginning of my time here, and as I said, I was like, wow, there's a lot of things, a lot of good things. How can we synthesize what's happening so that we can expand our impact? How can we find some synergy in all these things and also share the good lessons that we've learned through our successes and through our failures? How can we connect with each other and with peers from other schools who are working on the same types of things? And how can we advance our work together? The answer to that was a new conference that launched just last weekend. It's called FAST, Faithfully Advancing Sustainability Together. And we were leaning into the dual meaning of FAST with this. So in working on sustainability, there are things that we need to do quickly. We need to be fast. There are also things that we need to stop doing or abstain from doing. We need to fast and be fast. And it was a beautiful gathering of students from Calvin and Hope. That in and of itself is remarkable, right? It was really, really great. And as I've heard reflections from students who are part of that, I've heard them say that they didn't know that there was so much that they could do in their own lives to make an impact on sustainability. They didn't know that there were so many others who cared the way that they do, and they felt supported in that community. They didn't know that they could feel happy and hopeful in the face of pretty dire predictions and news related to climate change. And folks, I want to invite you all into this good work of sustainability. And here's a few ideas of how you can do that if you're not sure how to start. I invite you to pray through Scripture. Take a picture of this slide and read through those verses and invite God to speak to you and show you how you might play a role in the redemption of this good earth. Check out this QR code. It'll take you to a resource developed by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Group. It's 170 really basic daily actions that you can do in your life to make a real impact on sustainability. Just making sure the phones are down. All right. I invite you to tend to your mind and your soul by coming to a Wellness in the Woods event at the Preserve. This is a great way to emulate Jesus. As I said earlier, he intentionally sought out the solitude of nature again and again. And every Thursday from 4 to 5, you can do that with a group of peers at the Preserve. You can also go there anytime you want. Of course, it is open and available to you all as part of your campus. But I'd love to see you at Wellness in the Woods. And finally, I invite you to consider and Pastor Paul told me the magic words that I was to say to wrap up here, but now I'm blanking on them. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. You all know this. Thank you. God bless you.